Welcome back to another video from Louisville Real Estate Investments, or LREI, Property Management. Oftentimes I get asked where to buy rental property. Not so much what to buy, but where to buy is what I'm going to talk about today. I put together a map using some heat maps that I sourced locally off the internet and did some research on, so I can kind of talk about what are the things that you look for that might be indicators of where rental property is located that you should be interested in buying. And so the first thing I'm going to start with is on the backdrop, we just have a standard map of Louisville, Kentucky, and Southern Indiana and surrounding area. And then you'll notice this green outline on the outer side of the city, and that kind of just breaks up Brooks, Kentucky down here at the south, Mount Washington. And these are kind of good driving distance indicators of where somebody I would expect can get to within 45 minutes from downtown Louisville with no problem, 45 minutes or less, once it's rush hour traffic. And I consider that to be a pretty good footprint for where you might want to be investing in Louisville. And therefore, we're going to consider everything inside of that loop. And I also consider Southern Indiana a good investment for some things as well. So first thing to note is the green area. The median home price in Louisville right now is about $157,000 for your home. And you want to be below that in a rental property, because if you're at median or above, then you really should be flipping your house, in my opinion, instead of renting your house, because the more expensive the house, the lower your cash-on-cash return is going to be. You're not going to cash flow as well. You're going to be buying for appreciation in the long haul. It's really not a good rental property investment. It should be more of a long-term buy and hold, and you might have some sentiment or something if you're buying in the areas of that price range. Just doesn't make good business sense from investment. Might as well try stocks or something different. So look at the area that's not green. That's all below median home price. This is all property, so anything in that Southern Indiana area and the south end of Louisville is really good areas for rental property that's going to be in about that, what I consider to be a good range of 70,000 to say, I even like it lower than 130,000. I like it about 110,000. The heat map didn't accommodate that, but I like it even a little bit less than that. So then I put some dots on here just so you can see where are some of the better ranked schools, because we still want some appreciation when we buy. So these are schools that got a above average rating, and they're public schools. I'm not doing private schools, just public schools. But it might be good areas that just help the appreciation of the property. Also, I consider anything that's close to another adjoining area that's going to help bring up property value to be a pretty good purchase as well. What this map doesn't account for at this time is floodplains, so make sure you look out for flood determinations or flood zones. Some of these really hot areas could be areas that have prevalent flooding, so you'll need to make sure you check your FEMA maps as well. I didn't put that in the scope of this video, but I do have this black area here, and the black area is the average age of the home. So I consider anything 1960s or older to be something I wouldn't consider buying, just because the way that these homes were built prior to 1960 just leads to a lot of problems down the road. Lack of insulation, poor layouts in the home, foundation issues, a lot of deferred capital expense issues, and wood siding and insect destroyed damage issues. Or maybe they've had a major flood in the basement or a gutter that's been off for so long that it caused some damage to the property. They just have a lot of things that kind of leave room to be desired. So what I like to do is stay outside of that black area. I like things 1960s or newer, maybe even 1970s. In the late 60s, you still have aluminum wiring. And in the early 2000s, late 1990s, you have this thing called CPVC plumbing, which is basically on your supply line side, you've a water flow. People built those using plastic, not like PEX today, which is PEX products and plumbing now are expandable. They can grow and shrink the size of a Coke can. If you have a freeze in your line, it's not necessarily going to break your PEX plumbing. But if you had CPVC, you're going to have breaks all throughout your house if you didn't winterize, or if your heat cuts off in any kind of freezing temperatures, you're going to have to resupply line, plumb that whole home. So I consider those things to watch out for. And the aluminum wiring just it creates a lot of heat, and and you have to use special connectors when you install some fixtures. It can lead to some electrical issues. So uh, for those reasons, I like to kind of stay 1960s or newer because I don't want to have to deal with a lot of major home issues, home renovation issues. So which leads me to this area that's in white here. And the area that's mostly in white is what I would consider to be areas that I like to purchase real estate in. And I think if you were to overlay this map even one more time with maybe the rental comps or the average rent per square foot, I think what you would find is that in the lower bottom right hand side, or as closer that you get to the green area here, uh, throughout this area to the southeast, but still not in the green, is going to have some of the better appreciation, and you're going to get some really good rank comps in those areas. So a lot of overlooked areas that I see for investors making purchases, or things that I hear a lot of investors say around Louisville is, uh, one, they like to maybe buy in the West End. Well, in the West End, you have older homes, and that I think that really fits people who are going to go in and do whole home remodels and refinishes. And if you're a heavy rehabber, that might not be an issue for you. I don't recommend working with Section 8 right now, and so I'm also looking for an area with a decent median home income, so I don't have to deal with Section 8. My opinion in Louisville, Kentucky, is that the Section 8 offices are just a little too much to deal with right now, or a lot too much, and I wouldn't recommend it at all. Not I would touch it, and I really hope that you don't, because you'll get burnt pretty bad. So in the white areas here, what I hear people say to me is that they like maybe the Shively area. If I were to overlay this with, let's say, a crime map, I might see a little bit more prevalent crime in that um, west side area, southwest area there. There's a lot more crime in that area if I look at a heat map there. But I don't have it here to display for you. Some of the things to note is down in the Valley Station area. There's a good little pocket right here outside of 265. I really consider this a sweet spot right here, right outside of 265, but not inside the Louisville limit. A lot of people search Louisville for rentals and they miss this pocket right here. All through here at the bottom of your screen, outside of 265, but still in the white area, it's some really good property that's got some really good appreciation here recently over the last couple of years. And I consider this the sweet spot. This is the area that I like to shop in and keep an eye on that other people don't really see. And so I snatch up a lot of deals here. And even though I'm not really actively buying at this time, this is an area where if I saw something, I would still consider that deal. Now, if you look up in the West Butyl area, you'll start to see that there's a white area here that's surrounded by a lot of green, and it's got a good school district in there. I think that's an area that has some promise to it. Even in the southern areas here, you can see a lot of promise in the southeast, going down at kind of that peninsula almost down there. And you see a lot of really good properties in that area. So one other note is that up in New Albany here, and now in New Albany, downtown New Albany, you get a lot of older properties. So we're watching out for the older properties in New Albany, but just outside of that, and in and around that area, there's some pretty good rental property in the New Albany area. I'm a big fan of it right now. I don't mind the Jeffersonville area as well. In New Albany, there's a little bit more tax that you might have to pay. But other than that, it's not so problematic. And there's a great Section 8 program, so you can get a steady stream of income, and everything works out really good in New Albany. It's another area that I like to invest in. So this is kind of my overview of where I would buy a property. So next time, stay with me, and we'll talk about what to buy. Thanks.